Good morning, YouTube. Today I'm bringing you a Phase 6 against Mulder. I think this match was pretty interesting. We're basically both team testing. As you can see, this is a new team that I just built like last night, so I actually really like it. And when I looked at his team, I thought it was interesting to see the Landorus cat form on a rain team. I don't recall it learning any water moves, so I was thinking maybe it was just like, putting Gliscor in a rain team. It checks a lot of rain team counters, and, of course, Tornadus T normally is an issue, but for this team it's not going to be too much of an issue because I have a lot of special tanks. This is like a tank stall / late game sweep team, and Caesar, I'm not really worried about the Caesar. Like, I have plenty of things that can deal with the Caesar, and the Rotom, I was thinking that Rotom is probably scarfed. If the Rotom isn't scarfed, then it's going to be the Landorus. But Landorus could possibly have Stealth Rock, but probably not, since Ferrothorn does that job a lot better. Poly, Mulder, I know Mulder, he normally runs the defensive set of Poly. I don't normally see him running the offensive version, and I wasn't really sure who to start off with for this team, since this is a new team, and I was thinking that he'd begin with Rotom, since Rotom would most likely be scarfed. So I actually try and throw him off guard, which is something I don't normally do with Mulder, but I end up beginning with Fluttershy, the Blissey, and he begins with Landorus. So I'm thinking, okay, it probably is scarfed. He probably thinks I'm going to switch and go for the U-turn, so I'm just going to stay in. But instead he goes for a knockoff, so I'm like, okay, that's fine, I get a free Stealth Rock. Now here, I'm pretty sure that he thought I was going to switch out this turn, so he does go for the U-turn, which is great for me because now I know that it's not scarfed, which is really vital later on in the game, as you'll see. So he sends in his Ferrothorn, and I just go for the Seismic Toss, getting damage on whatever switches in. Wasn't too sure what would come in, but I suppose Ferrothorn was a good play, since now I know he's going to probably start throwing up Leech Seed or Entry Hazards, or maybe the Thunder Wave that he used in our last game. So I send in Pinkie Pie to take whatever he's got, and he just throws out the Stealth Rock, and to me that's not that big of a deal. This team doesn't really struggle that much with Stealth Rock on our side, so I'm going to put up a Reflect just in case he wants to start Power Whipping or Gyro Balling, but instead he's just laying down Spikes. So I was thinking, this is interesting, this could be problematic, so I'm just going to go ahead and send in Rarity, because Rarity can basically handle anything that Ferrothorn wants to do, and it avoids the Spikes, which is also good for me. So this turn, as you can see, Leftovers, Recovery, etc, etc, and I'm just going to go for the Air Slash to see how much damage it would do, and I thought that he would send in his Landorus that turn to pretty much take the incoming Thunder Wave, since just about every Togekiss has Thunder Wave, but now he's going to go ahead and make that move. He waits one turn, I guess, to see if I'm scarfed or not. Maybe that's what he wanted to do, and now he's going to take the Thunder Wave easily. And basically here I was thinking that he had Stone Edge, since I'm like, well, most Landorus have Stone Edge, but he just goes for the knockoff. So I was thinking, oh, okay, that's not that big of a deal, I'll just Air Slash him, and Air Slash does about a good 45% of its life. So here I was thinking that he would go for the Stone Edge now, since the Reflect wore off, but he goes for the U-turn. So I ended up using Roost, which was actually okay, since it was just like one of those in-between moves. Scouting, didn't want to over-predict and go for the Air Slash, and then he ends up doing something that I regret. So playing it safe, and since my Leftovers were knocked off, Roost was also good to stay towards max health. And here I'm just going to go ahead and go for the Thunder Wave. This team is pretty much a Paraflinch team, cripple anything even if it's slow. And he's going to go for the Hypnosis, but it misses, so Rarity will definitely not be getting her beauty sleep this time around. And
how am I supposed to get my beauty sleep?
I'm just going to go for the Air Slash, pretty much beginning to Paraflinch, and Rarity happens to get a critical hit, which it doesn't really matter, actually. I don't really think it matters, and here he's going to withdraw and send in his Rotom. I was tempted to go for the Thunder Wave again, but I didn't want to get hit with a Hypnosis or an Ice Beam, so I'm just playing it safe. But Rarity yet again gets a critical hit. I guess she was pissed about missing out on that beauty sleep, so
I'll destroy her!
here I'm going to send in Rainbow Dash, expecting the Volt Switch or the Thunderbolt, but most likely Volt Switch. And I know that this Rotom is scarfed since I don't see leftovers, so I'm going to send in Applejack, predicting him to send in his Landorus for the Intimidate, since there's no reason for him to send in Ferrothorn since he'll get close combated or Flare Blitz, etc. So now that I know that his Landorus isn't scarfed, and I'm pretty sure he believes that I'm going to switch out because of the Intimidate, I'm going to surprise him with that Hidden Power Fire. So Applejack just put in some work. She just jacked him up.
What in the hay is that supposed to mean?
And that was really good because Landorus, knockoff was pretty interesting. It doesn't really matter too much this game, but it could have possibly mattered if Applejack's Life Orb was knocked off. Not really sure, but here I'm just going to send Fluttershy back in as Death Fodder, since I know he's either going to Hurricane, U-Turn, or Superpower, unless he's running some interesting set on Tornadus. But this is basically the standard set of Tornadus that I see everybody use, so he does get a critical hit, which I don't even think mattered because he would have just KO'd Fluttershy the next turn. So, sorry Fluttershy for letting you die in vain.
Well, I'm not satisfied.
But Rarity will definitely take your place, because you all are best friends. And he goes for the Superpower, and I was thinking, well, okay, he's probably going to go for the Hurricane. I'd rather sacrifice Rarity and just paralyze and cripple this thing, since its speed is a problem. But instead, he goes for the Superpower, which is interesting. I found that interesting. It was a questionable move, but I'm just going to Roost, hoping that he gets Parahaxed, and just to kind of see how much his incoming Hurricane's going to do, since I know he's most likely going to do it, or he's going to U-turn out. So Hurricane did about 210 damage, which is more than I'm recovering. So here I'm thinking, well, he's either going to switch or he might go for the Hurricane again, so I might just try Roost stalling until he gets the Parahax. But he sends in Caesar, and as you all know, even if this thing is paralyzed, Bullet Punch still cuts in front. So here I'm just going to have Rarity swing immediately, because Thunder Waving is pretty much going to be a waste of a turn, and Rarity's going to die in vain. So had Mulder's Caesar had that expert belt, like I explained in that last video, he could have caught my Pinkie Pie off guard here, because he could have went for the U-turn, but instead he's locked into the Bullet Punch and he has to switch out. So I'm not kidding about that expert belt Caesar. But here he's going to send in the Rotom, and I'm just going to go for the Reflect, just in case he was expert belted. I mean, he does take my advice sometimes, and here he just makes an excellent play. He bluffs the trick. So since my Rainbow Dash is Choice Scarfed, I send her in, thinking that he would just receive another Choice Scarf, getting tricked, but he ends up destroying her with the Hydro Pump.
I'm an egghead.
So I have to give him a lot of credit, Mulder. That was an extremely good play because you bluffed that, but it doesn't really matter because Applejack's got her girls back, and she's going to Mach Punch this thing into was it next week, next Friday or whatnot. So things are looking pretty good. And here, this was the part of the match that really I don't know, I was questioning it. How was it that this Caesar survived a Life Orb Jolly Mach Punch? I don't understand that. Applejack gets destroyed by the Bullet Punch, as you can clearly see. Caesar had to have cheated. He had to have cheated, but now it's time for Twilight Sparkle to come in and just do some work. Time to do some work because he's going to go for the Bullet Punch, which does nothing because of the Reflect. And Twilight is going to destroy this Caesar with the Iron Head, so Caesar's finally down. Don't have to worry about any more priority. Pretty much everything on his team from this point's weak because the Tornadus T is crippled with paralysis and the Politoed is crippled with paralysis. So Fire Punch does 35% health because everybody knows that Ferrothorn in the rain is a pain. So Ferrothorn launches off a Gyro Ball, does about 70 damage, and unfortunately this next Fire Punch that Twilight Sparkle does isn't enough to take out this Ferrothorn, so Ferrothorn is able to win this slugfest of Fire Punch versus Gyro Ball. Unfortunately, but that happens to not only annoy me, but it aggravates Rarity, so now it's on.
It is on.
It's on, so Rarity is about to come in here and clean house, air slash this Ferrothorn, whatever Ferrothorn is, a UFO or maybe like some kind of garden plant that didn't get watered enough, but because Tornadus T is crippled, of course, which did matter, this air slash is going to destroy it, because Rarity is modest, and all he has left is this Polytoad, who's about to get destroyed as well. So, good game, Mulder. This is Unhappy Carousel, signing out. Please comment, rate, subscribe, and have a nice day.